If your entire idea of dancehall lyrics comes from one or two viral songs, you're missing almost the whole genre. That's the biggest mistake people make with dancehall, judging an entire culture by its loudest, most explicit moments, while ignoring everything else it actually says. This isn't about defending anything or being offended on dancehall's behalf. It's about giving credit where a lot of casual listeners never bother to look. By the end of this video, you're going to understand why this genre is so much deeper than its reputation suggests. Obvious part. Explicit, sexually charged lyrics are absolutely part of dancehall. That's not a myth, and this video isn't here to pretend otherwise. Artists like Lady Saw built entire careers on bold, unapologetic lyrics about sex and confidence, and that tradition continues today through a long line of artists who followed her. This content is genuinely popular. It travels well internationally, it dominates a lot of viral clips, and for a huge number of casual listeners outside Jamaica, it's the only version of dancehall they've ever actually heard. So here's the real question this video is asking. Not does this content exist, because obviously it does. The question is, what happens when people assume that's all that exists? This isn't a new problem. Dancehall has been fighting this exact stereotype since at least the 1980s and 90s, when the genre first started getting real international attention. Back then, the term slackness became the go-to label, a word used often by older generations and more conservative voices within Jamaica itself to describe the explicit, provocative side of dancehall lyrics. And almost immediately, that label got exported internationally as if it summarized the entire genre. Here's the thing, that debate about slackness was never actually about excluding it from the culture. Jamaican audiences have always understood dancehall as containing multiple lanes at once. The problem happened when the conversation left Jamaica. International media, radio programmers, and casual listeners abroad didn't get the nuance. They got the loudest clips, the most provocative lyrics, the songs that were easiest to sensationalize, and that became the entire international image of the genre, frozen in place for decades. Right alongside the party anthems, dancehall has always had a conscious lyrical tradition. Songs about poverty, survival, faith, injustice, and resilience. This isn't a modern correction to the genre's image, and it isn't a separate genre bolted onto dancehall from the outside. It's been there from the very beginning, running parallel to the party side the entire time, often coming from the exact same artists. Think about that for a second. An artist can release a purely explicit party anthem one month, and a deeply personal song about struggle, faith, or community the next, using the same rhythm style, the same vocal delivery, the same platform. Both songs are equally dancehall. Neither one cancels the other out. If all you've heard is the party side, you haven't heard a different genre. You've just heard half of a conversation dancehall has been having with itself for over 40 years. A lot of dancehall lyrics function as social commentary, sharp, direct, sometimes uncomfortable observations about class, politics, poverty, and daily survival in Jamaica. This is where the genre gets genuinely journalistic. Artists have used dancehall to document real conditions on the ground: inequality, violence, government failure, everyday struggle, sometimes more honestly and more immediately than official news coverage does. That's a fundamentally different function than a party anthem, even when it's coming from the same artist, on the same rhythm, in the same calendar year. It's protest music and party music sharing the same genre label, the same sound systems, and often the same audience. When people flatten dancehall down to just one mode, this entire layer disappears completely from the conversation. It's worth pointing out, this exact mistake happens to other genres too, and looking at those parallels actually helps explain why it happens to dancehall specifically so often. Hip-hop went through decades of being reduced to its most explicit or violent lyrics by international audiences and mainstream media. Even while conscious hip-hop, storytelling and social commentary were thriving inside the same genre the entire time, reggae faced a milder version of the same thing, flattened into one love and beach vacation imagery internationally, even though reggae's roots are deeply political and often confrontational. Genres that come from marginalized communities seem to get reduced to their most provocative or most easily marketed export, far more often than genres that don't. That's not a coincidence, and it's worth sitting with that pattern instead of treating dancehall's reputation as some kind of unique exception. Part of why this mistake happens so often with dancehall specifically comes down to language. Dancehall lyrics are delivered in Jamaican Patois, often at a fast, rhythmic pace, which means a lot of international listeners are only catching a fraction of the actual meaning, even when they think they understand what's being said. Metaphor, wordplay, and layered slang get lost easily if you're not fluent in Patois. What sounds simple, aggressive, or purely provocative on the surface often has more nuance, humor, or double meaning underneath than a casual listen ever reveals. So a listener walks away with an oversimplified impression, not necessarily because the lyrics were actually simple, but because so much got lost in translation before it ever reached them. This mistake isn't just an academic inaccuracy, it has real consequences. When international audiences and media only engage with one narrow slice of dancehall, it shapes which artists get global attention and which songs get platformed. Conscious and storytelling artists often get less international reach, not because the music is weaker, but because it doesn't fit the flattened stereotype that's already been exported. Dancehall contains multitudes, party anthems and conscious lyrics, bold sexuality and sharp social critique, sometimes all from the same artist, in the same year, on the same rhythm. Reducing it to just one of those things isn't just incomplete. It's a choice to only listen to part of what an entire culture has been saying for decades. If you've only ever heard one side of dancehall, that's not really your fault. It's usually the side that travels internationally the fastest. But it's worth going deeper. If you want the full picture of dancehall's sound, style, and culture, check out our ebook, linked below. Subscribe for more honest breakdowns of dancehall culture. And let me know in the comments, what conscious or storytelling dancehall song do you think more people should hear?